5, 4, 1.
Welcome to Reset to Healthy Relationships Sunday night at 9. I am your host, Coach Glenda, here with my course manager, Rufus Carpenter. We are on the high seas on our way to the Bahamas, and we are so excited. We have so many of our participants here on the cruise with us tonight, and I hope and pray that a lot of you are joining us to participate, to see the fun that we're going to have. But I'm going to let Mr. Carpenter introduce himself and tell you a little bit about himself as well as his background.
Good evening, everybody. Hey, this is a room of beautiful people. I look around and see all these people. I'm just elated to be here. Like she said, I'm Rufus Carpenter. I'm the course manager here at Reset. And my background is a little different than most. I come to this space by way of the military. I was a military human and race related leader where I had the responsibility going to all military units. And I would check to see if they have any type of race or relationship problem. And I would do what's called an intake. And with the intake form, I would actually see what level of responsibility or resources we got to throw at solving that problem. So that's part of it. I came from a large family in Virginia, 14 kids, and 14 kids, and a mother and father. It was 16 of us in a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. And if you ever had to sleep with 3 or 4 of your siblings, and one's and one's a capable bed, you understand. So that's my background. Just that's how I got to this space. Go ahead, Glenda.
Good evening. Welcome to Sunday night at 9 again on the high seas, your sacred space to breathe, reflect, and rise again. Let's begin with a deep breath. That's our healing breath. Inhale, peace. Exhale, feel fear. Think of one time this week you showed up with courage, even in a small way. Maybe you spoke your truth, asked for clarity, or simply took care of yourself when fear told you not to. That's love in action. Now, I can tell you for myself, for this week, for my example of me showing up with courage, I was a little, things wasn't going so right with the planning for the cruise, so I got a little discouraged and a little disappointed. But I tell you, so far that we made it this far and we showed up, and I am looking forward to a high time with all of my friends and family, my extended friends and family on this 6-day cruise. Now, tonight we're exploring letting go of fear in love, because love and fear can't share the same space. Now, how many of us have experienced trying to having a sense of fear and love at the same time? It's like, I want to be loved, but I'm scared of love. You're going back and forth. So let's learn how to release that fear, and that keeps us fully giving and receiving love. So we need to nip some of these bad ways and bad negative feelings about our future relationships, because I believe that everybody is here. They want and they're looking forward to something fulfilling and genuine.
When you talk about letting go, love for fear, when you're letting go of the fear, what are we really talking about? She said a lot, but what does that mean to you? What it means to me? Because I know when I love, I let go, I feel very, very vulnerable, very weak at times. I'm wondering, is this joker going to wear me out? It's going to take me through the coals? And, so that's why I say that, because I had 5 sisters. It was 9 boys and 5 girls in my family. And with my 5 sisters, I know me and my brothers, we are very protective with them. So we realized the fear of them having to get involved with a taker, because a lot of times when you get in a relationship, you got 2 type of people. You got a giver and a taker. And Lord have mercy, if one of my sisters had got up with a taker, man, we'd have wore him out. We would have wore him out. So those are the type of things you look for when you talk about love. And a lot of times when you're talking about the fear of love, rejection. When you ask a person, do you love me? And that person look at you, well, I don't really know. and you that person just crushed your heart. You just, man, I was ready to do all this and all that. And all of a sudden, so these are the type of things when you talk about the fear of love. These are the things, they might seem like little things, but to the heart, to emotional deposits in your soul, they're big things.
All right. Fear and love often comes from past pain, rejection, betrayal, and or abandonment. It shows up as overthinking, guarding our hearts, or expecting loss before love can grow. Tonight's practice helps us replace fear with faith, openness, and grounded confidence. So when we think of reset, we acknowledge our fears. We name them without judgment. Awareness is the first step to release. Then we have reconnect, build safety through self-trust and supportive connection. Speak your needs clearly and kindly. Don't be aggressive with your words, Felicia. And then we have rise, act from courage. Take one step towards love, even while afraid. Love is built on small, brave acts.
You know, we have audience with us tonight. You can't see our audience because we're on a ship and we're in a small room and a light of us here. So we can't, you really can't see them, but you can hear the voices. And this is the time I want to ask the audience some questions. I want to get audience participation because when you're talking about the fear of love, where does it come from? You know, what are some of the things that cause it? Is it because you had trauma as a kid? Or is it because you just had a hard breakup? Is it because you and your husband are in a tiff? Or where did this stuff come from? Anybody want to volunteer?
I would probably venture to say it may be coming from some sort of past experience because you look at children are fearless. And then all of a sudden something happens to a child that makes them start feeling this way. So think about that young guy who wrote the girl the note and said, "Do you like me?" And she said, "No." Yeah. So he's not gonna do that again, you know.
I thought I was the only one that did that crazy stuff. so that was normal. Was it normal for everybody to say no every time? Wait a minute. Any more experiences or stories or anybody want to talk about some of the things you experience and some of the fears you have? You know, my fears were that I would get in a situation I couldn't get out of. That was always my fear. My fear, because when you get too far up that road and you don't know how to back out or say no or say I had enough, that was my fear. You know, I always tell people, like, I've known times when I was like a wounded animal. I was in a cage, I was in a trap. I had to cut my own arm off to get out of the way. I know those type of things. So when you're talking about fear can be real. Fear can be really real. And what may be fear to me may be a strength to you. Because I might say, well, hey, you know, I'm afraid that somebody are going to reject me, so I kind of keep my stuff to myself. And you might tell me, heck, I want to know somebody don't want me, so I can go find somebody that do want me, because I got a lot to give. I have a lot to offer. So if this joker here don't know what's good, I can go over there.
But I wonder again if it's a learned behavior, because if a child sees mom or dad chasing joker, whoever that is, then they don't necessarily know that they're destined down a path that was, I guess they learned, I guess.
Right. Children do mimic bad behavior, stuff that they see within the household. Yeah, you know, because some daughters, I've noticed that if the boyfriend or the father beats up on the mom, they, for some reason, I don't know what type of magnet it is, but they end up hooking up with some dude that will beat on them, and because mama decided to stay, they feel like, oh, this is the only way he shows me that he loves me, so I have to stay. This is the norm. But it really isn't.
Okay. I thought I'd never seen, I'm probably one of the oldest people in the room today. I've never seen my mom and dad hug, and I never ever saw a full weekend where my dad didn't fight my mom. So my fear was that I was gonna get in a situation where I would hit a woman, and I would take the same cycle my dad had. But when I got married, it was opposite. My wife beat me up. I said, wait a minute. I went home and told my oldest brother, I said, man, me and this girl been married for I think it was about 10 months or a year. And I told my brother's Rufus, go back home. That's the best thing ever happened to you. You just got there doing wrong. Go home.
That's a valid fear though, because we grew up in a household like that. So when you're looking at a mate, that is a potential fear. For me for sure. Because I've seen it growing up. So having to trust someone that's that their personality you won't see Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde come out.
Right,
So
right,
that
right.
is a fear.
And I was married into a relationship that was
That same
like that
thing,
same thing. He was on drugs and he would always fight me and try to take from me and take money and everything, and we'd always constantly be fighting. And so yeah, I know the feeling of how that type of situation is, and it's like you get to the point where you're like, once you get out of that relationship, you don't want to ever be in that type of relationship again.
Right.
How do we break that pattern though? Because I've seen it, you've seen it, you've experienced it. So how do we stop it? How do we break it?
Well, thinking about it, and it is. I feel like it is like my father. My father was like that. My brother was like that.
Yeah.
My uncle was like that. So and that's not really say hereditary, but it's just like it's a family type of, just like they grew up in that.
They grew up in that.
They grew up in that environment. Like my dad's father
was that way.
and so they grew up seeing that. So for them, and that was just probably the norm, even though it wasn't the norm.
Like passed down from generation to generation.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. That's what it felt like.
Is it possible that, and I know for myself, that when my mother raised me, it was not a lot of information, because back then they were like 1963, they were just coming, into being able to do different things.
Right.
So a lot of the things that they knew to do was to be, because in past generations, that was what was happening. So maybe that's all they knew.
And I feel like the women were afraid to get out of the relationship that they were in. A lot of times they want to get out, but they don't know how to get out.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
That's the
Once
key.
you know that with my situation, once I know that I wasn't in love with him as a husband and wife anymore, and that I only cared for him as a friend, that's when I knew that it was time for me to get out of the relationship.
Okay.
Because I didn't love him as a husband and wife anymore. I just loved him because he was the father of my kids, not because he was my husband and I loved him for that reason.
And that's a lot of women's problem.
Yeah.
Is that they don't know when to cut it short and move on.
Yeah.
After so long, the love is gone. And like you say, it just stick around.
Yeah.
That's a lot of problem right there, because this is why Reset and Sunday Night 9 came about. Because how do you get that word into the community? You don't get it at church. You don't get it. You don't get it at school. You don't get it from your coworkers, but they say leave the food. So how do you get that
from
knowledge?
Platforms like this.
Okay.
Back in the day, people didn't teach you.
No, they did.
About relationships. You just went and you did what you did, and boom, that's it. You have babies and move on.
Right.
But with this type of platform, it gets the information out to the people.
I think the value of this platform is gets it out in a healthy way.
Yes.
Right now, I'm looking at a lot of pastors who are sensationalizing their flaws, I guess, their relationship flaws, and it's making it seem like those things that you guys are talking about are okay, and they're not. But you have a lot of pastors that are sensationalizing that.
Give me an example, please.
So a pastor who, I guess it was a documentary on recently, there was a pastor in Atlanta who was gay and in the closet. His wife knew. And he talked about all this time, he just literally just was okay with cheating on his wife for years. And she accepted him. And I said, while it's okay that you discuss it, you don't seem like you have any remorse for what you see what I mean?
Right, yes.
And think about the average people, really, that's becoming acceptable now. Even when you look at some of these pastors who have all these wives or girlfriends or whatever in the church, people are finding that is entertaining and not recognizing that that's not healthy.
Well, what I've noticed, just by listening to other people and knowing people in the ministry, a lot of people look at that particular example as like, well, that's a real person, that's a real life scenario. So they respect it. And it's like, nobody is perfect, but it doesn't make the action right.
And that's where I'm trying to figure out the balance of telling people, yes, they did that, and yes, they stayed married.
Right.
But is that the marriage that you want?
Correct.
That's the better way of saying it.
Yeah.
Correct. I mean, what works for one doesn't work for the other person.
Exactly.
And that's why a forum like this is very important, because we can get together and talk about it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of us here tonight, and one on online. So we're here tonight talking about it, and we're comfortable. None of us feel like we can go home and get beat up. None of us feel like, hey, I've got repercussion because I said that on air. None of us feel like that. So I think it started already. We've already started that chain. We've already started that movement when we're saying enough's enough.
Right.
We're not going to take that. Right. And I begin to look at myself differently because before Sunday night at 9, I was just as bad as they were. Yeah. I was out there. I was really out there. But now after Sunday night at 9, it pricked my heart, and now I realize that what you do to others, you not only do you reap the benefit, but you reap the curses, you reap the downside. And it's very difficult to keep doing the same dumb stuff day in and day out. Enough is enough. Yeah. So I'm glad we have these type of forums because we can come together. Some of you I've never seen before, but I understand your pain. Yeah, man, when you were speaking and telling your truth, I see it. I see it in the community. Yeah. I've experienced it firsthand. It happened in my house. Yeah. So it happened in your house, and I don't even know you. And it happened in my house, and it happened in my neighbor's house, and it happened to the guy's house down the street. Yeah. How do we stop it? Because the family is the key. Right. For any race or any group of people to be successful, it starts with the family.
Yes. And I feel like the person that's in that type of relationship is the one that has to decide whether they're just tired of the situation, and they have to make up their mind whether they're going to continue to stay in that type of relationship or whether they're going to get out of that relationship to better themselves and for themselves and just to be out of that total situation altogether. Because my mom kept telling me that I was going to be just like her. I was going to stay there and be with him and put up with all that, and I kept telling her, no, I'm not. And I felt like the more I said I'm going to leave, the more determined I was to do it. It took me a while, it took me a while. We were married for 12 years, and it took me a while before I decided to leave him. But I had to plan. I couldn't just jump up and leave. Right. I had to think it out. I had to plan it. And I couldn't tell nobody except Felicia. I couldn't tell my mom. I couldn't tell my dad because it would get back to him that I had planned on leaving him. Because he was a drug addict and just take. And so once I felt like it was time for me to move on, then I started planning for myself and for my children what to do for myself.
I think that takes a lot of courage. And I think courage is easier said than done, I guess. We can just say to people, oh, you just need to leave. But I just look at so many people, whether you're rich or poor, who don't have that type of courage. And I guess it takes helping people to find courage in themselves. Yeah. And it sounds like you had a good support system, but there are so many women or men, whoever the situation, they don't always have those support systems. Yeah. And even when we think about with this economy the way it is, and a mother with 3 kids or 4 kids, the first thing the guy's going to tell her who's going to want you. And she might believe those things.
Yeah. But you have to have confidence in yourself and think about what you need for yourself. You need peace of mind. You need protection for your kids. Right. So you have to think these things out to see how you want to go about doing it. It took me 6 months to plan how I was going to leave him. And when he came home from work, I was in California. He didn't know I was left. He was in California. And I had took my kids to the doctors. I was working for Eastman Kodak for about 12 years. And I had been there for, long enough to have 3 weeks of vacation. So I decided I was going to leave. I talked to my managers and everybody and let them know that I was planning on leaving. So they knew the situation. And once I decided that I was going to leave, I just started thinking things out of how to go about doing it without him finding out. And sometimes people don't think it out, because if you're in a violent type of situation, the people are gonna, you don't think, you have to think things out before you do. And so, once you think things out and you got a job, then you think things out of use your vacation pay, buy your airline tickets, buy your bus tickets, find somewhere to stay, go to a shelter. See, I ain't never had to go to a shelter because I had relatives somewhere else that I could contact and talk to them. So you have to find your resources and find out what is the best move for you to make without putting yourself in a situation where you're going to get beat up or you're going to get found out and that type of situation.
Yeah, it's funny because I was in the park Friday before that park behind the house, and so I was walking the dog, and I've seen this lady over there several times. She's an African American lady. And I've seen her there many times. I saw her in the car a few times. Because there's a lot of people go there too that are homeless. They sleep in their car in that park over there. Okay. So then I saw her sitting on the bench. It was like about 11:30 in the afternoon, in the morning. And so I walked past her, and I spoke to her the last time I saw her there. You just don't know what people got going on. She could have been there, handling some business, and so I was like, well, I just didn't pay her no mind. So then I walked past her, and then she stopped me, and she's like, do you know anyone that, is there like a missionary or a shelter somewhere nearby? And so I was like, I felt helpless because I didn't really have her because it caught me by off guard. Right. I felt like she was homeless. But then when she's like, asked me if I knew of any missions, so I didn't really, not knowing resources is important because I didn't know any resources because I hadn't been in that situation before. And so she was like, that she feels she's being exploited and that she, her situation is complicated. She had a car last week. She did have I saw her in the car, but then now her car's been taken. So I was like, and it's to the point was like, I could have offered her to, come up and take a shower, but trusting her to come into my home, it was a different thing, It's today's age has made things so difficult to help people, and to give them the resources they need, because I don't know what she really needed other than a place to stay, but I could not offer her, to come on with me because she could have gotten in my house and just ripped me right off. Exactly. So even though I felt like she needed a safety net, because she had been sitting on the bench, and I was like, oh gosh, so I was like,
The way you said that, see how someone else's pain even affect us? We're not the victim. We're not the one that went through it. But when you see it or hear it, you feel some kind of way. It feels you. So when it happens to one of us, it affects all of us. Yeah. So
I think the interesting thing is when we think about these situations, like with the young lady she was describing, a lot of times we'll see that person as them. And a lot of people can't really see it as possibly themselves. Because I just thought about when you said it, a student of mine, she had a good job initially, good life. She divorced her husband and immediately she had nothing. So she was sleeping in her car and going to class. She wasn't a person on drugs or any of those things, but her life flipped upside down overnight because she was in a situation.
That can happen.
It happens too often.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. I'll let you.
No, you go ahead.
No. When does fear stop being the problem? Because you're always going to be afraid. Even when you walked out, I think you still had fear. But fear, it had gotten so bad, fear wasn't even an issue no more. You pushed past that.
No, because I felt like during my marriage, I was putting more of my time and effort into him, into the relationship, than I was to myself and my children. So when I decided that I was just going to take care of myself and take care of my children, that's when I knew that it was time for me to make up my mind to do what I had to do. So you have to have confidence and have faith in yourself and faith in God that things are gonna help you out, and you think it out. You think of how can you do this without him finding out, or how can I, take care of my kids without, anything. And I just started planning it, and I just started thinking about how to do things, and how to have money to take care of, how to get bus tickets or how to get an airplane ticket. You know, use your resources. If you get an income tax, save that money and use it for your transportation out of there. Get an extended stay or something, or take your vacation pay. Buy you some. That's what I did. I had took my vacation pay and bought 3 one-way tickets to California. I had talked to my cousin. He said we can come out there and stay. I had took all the kids to the doctors, and we all got checked up. I went and took all my appointment papers to get them all together, put them in a place where I knew I could find them. And when it come time for me to leave, I left him a letter and told him I was leaving. Felicia picked me up. We went to picked up all my kids. We went to the airport, and I was in California before he got home.
You got that one out real good because it took me
So
2 years to plan.
you have to think about resources that you already have and how to use them to help you out and help your children out. You know, especially I had 3 kids. When I moved to California, my daughter Trina was 14. My oldest son was 9, and my youngest son was 2.5. And we stayed with my cousin, first cousin, with him and his family up until I got myself situated. We got bonus from Kodak every year. We got bonus from Kodak. I took my bonus money and I told them to send it straight to my cousin's house. So I had money when I got there. I didn't file my income tax until I got to California because I didn't want to be broke.
Right.
I had 401k. I had them send that money to my cousin's house. So when I got to California, I wasn't broke.
Right.
I had something to fall back on.
Right.
So sometimes you have to think about the resources that you have already available and use those for what you can do to help yourself or help your children if you have children.
Right.
And you know, a lot of times people are scared to get out of a relationship with those type of environments, but you have to kind of think it out and just go on normal, but keep thinking about how you can succeed with taking care of yourself.
Now that's some good information because when I left nothing. And if I had someone then to tell me what to do, how to leave, because I left with nothing but the clothes on my back.
Girl, I was taking clothes to work and plastic bags.
That was
and I had somebody pack them for me. I had a friend of mine, I had 2 Foot Lockers I had bought, and I told her I took the things to work, told my husband I was taking them to give away. And I took those clothes to work, she would pack them for me. Everything I wanted to take it, she would pack it for me. I packed my son's suitcase ahead of time because most of the time men don't look at suitcases. Excuse me, y'all. Time men don't look in suitcases. So his was already packed. I told my daughter that I was gonna leave, have your stuff ready. And when we were gonna leave, I took all my stuff and put it in garment bags and everything I needed. What I didn't want, I left right there in that house, just like I was going to work, didn't I?
I think that answers your question though earlier about how do we get rid of the fear. I guess having knowledge and information might be a way to get rid of the fear because I just imagine if someone tried to get away and then they failed and then had to come back.
That's devil for your trouble.
Yes.
But you have to have a plan. A lot of times you have to think of a plan and have a plan before you just jump up and do things.
Right.
You know, you can do things, but like she was saying, when she left, she didn't have nothing but what she left with.
Right.
You know, but sometimes you have to sit back and think these things out, you know, and just think about how you can do things without them finding out. And, you know, just keep thinking, you know, how you can go about having these things and doing these things and what your resources are that you can use. And when I moved to California, I ain't had no job, I ain't had no nothing. I just had a place to stay. And I just started looking around for me a job. I bought me a little car at a corners, they call them corners auctions. And I found me a little car for $500 and, you know, I just started taking one step at a time, because sometimes you can't just jump up and do things without thinking it out. You know, the longer you think about it, the better things will come together for you. Because that's what I had to do. It took me 6 months to plan what I had to do.
2 words come to my mind. Listen to her talk. 2 words. First word is reframing. She had to reframe her situation. She had to reframe her mindset. And she had to reframe the future for her kids. And the second word that come to my mind is courage. Because she didn't know how this was going to play out. But she knew it was going to be better than what she had at home. But she didn't know, so she took courage to do that. So those 2 things come to mind right away. That's the reset in this. She had to reframe her situation and the courage to do it, to see it through.
The more and more you believe and trust into yourself, the more the fear goes away.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
And you get tired. Sometimes you just get tired of being in the same. Seem like you're going in a hole. You're in a hole and you can't get out of it. And it's just like, you know, you keep doing the same thing over and over and over, and you don't get nowhere. You know, and you seem like you're trying to help him, but you're so busy trying to help him fix himself that it's not helping him. It's taking you down. It's taking you down. So once I decided that I'm going to get out of that hole and I'm going to take care of myself and take care of my children, that's when I decided it was time to go.
I will say, just from listening to all of y'all talk, because I work in the family court side sometimes, and I said, imagine if there was a resource guide that we can give to women in domestic violence, or if there was an app that could say all these things y'all were saying. I said that could be so user friendly because there's so many women that are in these situations y'all are talking about right now.
And that's what I tell some people sometimes, if I know and talk to them and they tell me the situations that they're in, and I kind of tell them the way I did it, you know, the way I got out of it. You know, if there's things you want, you know, you're somebody you can trust, take them, give them things to them people, give them for them to hold for you. You know, if you got a good job, go to the, you know, talk to your people and let them know the situation and what type of, you know, things you're going through. And a lot of times they'll help you out. You know, they'll either give you some type of resources or some kind of advice or something. And so it's like, you know, because they knew the situation. He would come up there and be trying to fight me up at the job. And so it's like, so they knew the situation. And shoot, when I left, they was giving me money, you know, trying to help me out.
Because you started, because they saw you started. You did something that they applaud, something they could latch on to, they could help you. You made a way for yourself.
See, what I did, I didn't just quit. What I did, I took a 6-month leave of absence. And once I took that 6-month leave of absence, they gave me the option to come back or stay, because I told them where I was going and I told them the situation. So they gave me the option to come back or to stay. And so once I decided I wasn't coming back, I sent the letter back to them. So we had a type of agreement that I could either come back or not. So I took a 6-month leave of absence from my job. So then that way I knew whether I was going to come back or not. And I knew I wasn't going to come back because of the situation I had been in.
But just, I think from what you said earlier about believing in yourself, I guess, I can just imagine, this is just me. If I was a child who saw my parent have the courage to do that, imagine the trajectory that you've done in your lineage where children, your grandchildren are going to say, nope, my grandmother didn't do that. I just find that to be so cool.
That's her. Our grandmama. Well, let's see what the audience, Annette, you're there listening. What are some of the thoughts you had? What are some of the thoughts? And like I said, the subject, you didn't come on from the very beginning. The subject is letting go of the fear in love. Letting go of the fear in love. In other words, how do you keep moving forward? And we've talked for about good 20 to 30, 40 minutes. We've been talking about how we had the courage and how we changed our thinking and how do we get out. And a lot of us say we didn't know. We didn't know we could get out. We didn't know. All we knew is the pain we were in, and we started looking at how it affected ourselves and our children, and we got out. So you have anything you want to share?
Well, good evening. How y'all feel out there on the ocean out there tonight?
We feel good.
Like we're moving.
We're rocking though.
Well, that is awesome. I listen to them and I can relate to it. In letting go of the fear, I had a fear too because I was married at one time, and I can relate into that same scenario. Um, uh, and my husband was abusive. We had an abusive relationship, and even though it was happening for a long time, I took it because I thought there was no way out other than embarrassment of going to my family members or going to someone and saying that this was happening to me. But then I began to talk to people. And at that time, I found out the YMCA had a part of it where they had an entity where they were helping battered women and their children, and they would even help you. It's sort of like maybe like an underground kind of thing where they were helping you kind of get away or escape if that was what you really wanted to do, but you had to be committed to the move. You had to be committed to getting away. And actually I had gone through all the preliminaries and had gotten set up to make the move because they knew my situation, and it's a matter of time. It wasn't just an instant thing. They wanted to make certain that this is what you wanted to do. And I had gone through everything, and I was there ready to make the move. And lo and behold, I didn't do it. I backed out. Right there, I backed out because I was afraid that it wasn't going to work on the other side. I was afraid that he would find me. I was afraid that, I had so many fears going through my head. I didn't do it. It took a while before I got the courage to just do it on my own. But I can say truly that people need, male and or female, they need assistance. They need help. When you're in that situation, you have kind of, whether you like it or not, you have kind of settled in it for a long time or for a while before you make a move to say, hey, I'm strong enough to get away from this on my own or whatever. But I find that people need encouragement. They need to now. The fact that I went through it at that time, I think the biggest thing is people should not be afraid. Don't hide behind the mask of what you think somebody will say about you. Just accept the fact that the situation is not right for you,
Right.
or whomever you're carrying with you or whatever. It's not right. So just be strong enough to walk away from it, get away from it, do whatever you have to do to survive healthy.
Yes.
Because you can stay there long enough where it's not healthy anymore. And I've heard of situations where people don't come out of it alive.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we really have to think safety in these type of situations. Well, that's what I say.
Glenn, do you want to summarize this and take us home? Because we on the ship and it's late.
Oh my God, no, I thought it was gonna be nice. This ain't late yet, man. I'm ready to talk to you.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that. Now, see how when you say stuff, you hear yourself say it, it gives you strength. She wasn't gonna say anything, but once she started, she released all those years. All that pain just came out of her. And look at her now. She's smiling. At first, her face was all frowned up. Now she's smiling. Now she's ready to talk. She got that courage again. She can feel that strength she had back then.
She was able to release what happened to her in the past.
Yep, but still we're going home.
All of us had a long day. All right. So
next week.
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry. Where's Miss Fox?
Oh.
Y'all didn't do that. I know she was asleep. I tried to wake her up, but she didn't answer.
I tried to wake up. I knocked on the door and called.
She had a hard day.
With herself. All right.
All right, Glenda.
All right. So right about now, we're gonna name the fear. I'm afraid that if I open my heart again, I'll be hurt, challenged. The fear comes from whatever it is, come from past hurt, but today I choose to see the light. Replace the fear. I release this fear and replace it with faith in my growth. All right. Okay. So is there anything else we need to add before we close out completely for tonight, Mr. Carpenter?
Yeah, you had some about the numbers. What was the numbers?
Yes. For the prize, we do have a prize. I had chose a number from 1 to 16, and I'm just gonna y'all shout out your number. Oh no, you don't gotta shout it out. My number.
Wait, no, they got no. Okay, what's your
Yeah,
number?
because you could just
number?
say
Wait,
yes.
stop. What's your number?
12.
What's your number?
4.
No.
8.
What's your number, ma'am?
11.
What's your number, ma'am? What's your number, ma'am?
15.
What's Annette? What's your number? What's your number, Annette?
What it had to be between?
1 to 16.
15.
You got a shit. Or said 15.
No, you get somebody say 15. You got to take another number.
7.
Okay. Somebody say 7. Somebody say 7. You got to take another number.
God.
3. Get that courage, girl. Get that courage.
3.
3. Somebody say 3.
No.
All right, 3. All right, what's your number?
15.
16.
All right, she's the closest to it. 16. You want to give it to her? You got to present it.
It's gonna do.
You got to say what it is.
All right.
It was actually 16. That's my granddaughter. I said 15 because she's actually 16 now.
That's all right. You did good.
But we have this. You're gonna say it's 16, but
You should have went with your first choice. We have this beautiful basket. And what's the name of the company?
Leanne Creation.
Yep, from Leanne Creation.
Oh.
There are, to my knowledge, there's a candle. You have a pen, a pad, some lotion, and a cup.
Oh, some stuff that I've been wanting.
And the journal is something nice. It's nice.
I hadn't gotten it. Thank you, sis.
well, you know, right. You didn't make sure it come from our family now. So
And then, what we do the rest of the close this out? So what we do the rest of the week and close this out?
Okay. So, but we will be doing some other events throughout the week. It's not going to be, it's not going to take up any of carnival fun time, but we just want you guys to be able to also, still participate with Reset. Also, we're also looking forward to our next cruise 2026. We have it planned out. We're going to quite a few different places, but I found out today sometimes Carnival like to switch up locations on you. So I know for sure one of the locations is in 2026, October the 10th through the 18th. We're going to Aruba. And it's 8 days versus 6 days. Yes, we will most definitely do that. We're trying to finalize the pricing so you can plan ahead with the payments and everything.
My birthday is the 21st.
Awesome.
4 years old.
Happy early birthday.
Yeah. And then we had a few celebrations. We have Gigi. This is her first cruise. We have Ava. She's
mine too.
what?
First timers. Yeah.
We got someone that is excited about receiving the news about their the sex of their new grandchild.
Oh.
And then we have a couple of birthdays too as well on the cruise. So this is not just so much all about Reset. It's about relationships and establishing new friendship and stuff like that.
And I want to say something too.
Okay.
When I told you guys a few minutes ago about me being a different person and I'm coming about being on this Reset, Glenn and I have been on this journey with Reset for about 1.5 years now. And we finally come to fruition. This was our first cruise. And with that, it changed me. And one thing about working with Glenda this time, I got to see her. At first, I was saying, what the? But as I went through it, it gave me a chance to see the person that she really is. And Glenda, can I ask your hand? Will you give it to me?
What you gonna ask my hand for?
Huh?
What you gonna ask my hand for?
For marriage. Would you marry me?
That's why I was scared. I'm telling you can't get out of this.
We've been friends for almost 30 years.
All right, that just brings home.
Get out. All right, as we close tonight, take one last deep breath. Inhale, peace, exhale, fear. Let this be your reminder. Fear can't stay here. Fear can't stay where love leads. This week, may your courage be louder than your worries and your heart rest in truth and not tension. Until next Sunday night at 9, keep resetting, connecting.
But you got to tell them
Rising.
the thing on the ship. Now, it's a wrong sale date on that because they Carnival's changed when we had this built done from last year. But we're giving $100 as a game prize each one of those 2 days. So you're getting.
I was waiting to let them participate and be surprised when they opened up their
They surprised right now. Trust me. Aren't y'all surprised right now? Yeah. Now right now, show up. They won't show up at first. Show up. All right, go ahead. We're giving $100
on what days again?
The 2 C days because I think they're wrong in there. They're wrong in that. The 2 C days.
Wednesday and Friday.
Yep.
So it's Wednesday and Friday.
Wednesday and Friday, and we're gonna do it from 10 o'clock in the morning to 11 by 11:15, 11:30. And then, so because we're gonna do it while everybody else is asleep. We're gonna be giving out money.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's Sunday night at 9. We look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much. Everybody, good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night. It is, you guys were awesome.